I've gone out of my way to like draw like with MS Paint, like routes through level maps to be able to be like, okay, this is where I'm going with a big red line.
Welcome one, welcome all to your guide to speedrunning Sonic the Hedgehog in 15 minutes or less, presented by GEICO. I'm Digon.
And I'm Emma. Today we're diving into the iconic Sonic the Hedgehog series. Originally released on June 23rd, 1991, the Sonic the Hedgehog franchise grew to include tons of titles, and for you non-math majors out there, this June will be Sonic's 30-year anniversary.
Wow.
How can the game be that old? That makes me feel really old.
Well, here today to help us dive into the world of speedrunning Sonic, thanks to our friends at Games Done Quick, is one of the best, Amber Cyprian. How's it going?
Hey, how are you? I'm doing well.
Yeah, it's great to see you and your chow and your Sonic shirt. You're like ready for the occasion.
Oh, absolutely.
All right, well, let's start off with some of the basics. What drew you originally to speedrunning?
So like back in 2010, I got into watching speedrunning pretty late through a mix of like browsing Twitch for people playing games I was fond of growing up, and like another casual streamer I followed watching Summer Games Done Quick 2011, like when that rolled around in August. Yeah. So eventually I started dabbling in the idea of speedrunning, but not really knowing if I could do it. So I started learning like Pokemon Snap 100% of all things, and I did like 3 runs of it before I realized I didn't really enjoy it as a speed game, and I shelved it. And then I started doing, I discovered Pokemon Blue and Crystal randomizers and did community races with my own viewers who were like not familiar with speedrunning either, outside of like Games Done Quick. And I did that for a couple of years, and then finally like picked up Sonic Adventure 2, which was like my first serious speed game. I'd played that extensively, for like 10 years at that point. It had come out in like 2001, 2002. And I did my first run of it in a competition called SRL Season 1, which is Speedruns Live, which was a site that promoted and facilitates to this day like live races between speedrunners and has a whole point system and leaderboards and everything. And I did that with absolutely no speedrun knowledge and got like a 1 hour, 3 minute and 23 second time. I had to look that up today because I was curious when my first run was. It was actually April 13th. And then learning that I could run a game that I knew for years and years and years, like with little to no speedrun knowledge out the box, really got me hooked at that point. I was like, that's around the time I started calling myself a speedrunner. So I just kind of like fell in love with breathing new life into my childhood favorites, and that's actually what really drew me into speedrunning.
I think that is such a good point, because a lot of the games that you do see people speedrunning have very rich histories as games, even outside of their sort of speedrunning history. Now, Sonic speedrunning, I assume probably predates your life as a speedrunner yourself, but can you give us a breakdown of how the Sonic series made its way into the speedrunning community?
Yeah, so like you mentioned, the speedrun community's existence far predates my time as a speedrunner. I was born in '93, so that wasn't until like Sonic CD came around, and I don't know if there were any like Sega endorsed competitions at the time. I know that there was like a Nick Arcade with the Sonic 2 beta thing, and that was collecting as many rings as you could in a short amount of time. That's what we call ring attacking now. But there's 2 main websites I could point anyone to that are still online today that shows like some of the roots of and origins of online documentation for Sonic speedrunning. And the first is Speed Demos Archive. That came around in April 1998, but it was just dedicated to Quake speedruns. And then
interesting.
It eventually expanded, including like a Metroid Prime 100% run in 2003, and then opened to all games in 2004. So from there, you have runs of like Sonic 3D Blast, Sonic Adventure 2, Sonic 3 and Knuckles, and those are all really, really old former world records at this point, but it is a piece of archived history. In 2003, though, somewhere in the middle of all that, the Sonic Center opened up, and that was dedicated just to Sonic games.
Nice.
And that was individual level speedruns, ring attacks, score attacks where you're trying to max out your score across either the entire game or a single level. And from there, it was like from 2003 onward, it went from like IRC chats for like different communities for certain games to like Skype groups.
Jeez.
And then now we have like speedrun.com leaderboards and the public Discord server we got today. And it definitely, you could draw a line very, very far back.
I'm having major internet nostalgia talking about this. Like, are any of these a GeoCity website with an animated cursor that looks like Sonic's glove or his shoe?
Oh my goodness. But yeah, like stuff like that. Like the if you log on to the Sonic Center, I think it's the soniccenter.net. That is very much a product of its time, just in appearance, like UI and everything. It like a lot of people are like, oh, I don't like it. It's so old looking, and I'm like, you're making me feel old.
Well, you know, when you dive into speedrunning, there's so many different categories. You've hit on a couple of them already. How do you go about defining what those categories are of speedruns, and then what are some of your favorites?
Sure. So the Sonic series, like most of the games in the Sonic series, end up with like their typical beat the game or any percent categories, where it's beating the game as fast as possible, either glitched or glitchless, depending on the subcategory. But I prefer there's some of the completionist style runs that usually include collecting all the emblems in like the Sonic Adventure games, or all of the Chaos Emeralds in a lot of the classic titles. And I really enjoy completionist runs myself now, but there's a lot of merit to getting started with the basic beat the game or any percent runs to really just kind of get your fundamentals down. And then there's, you know, some other miscellaneous categories with like special restrictions on certain glitches or like certain character combinations. There's even like, you know, different categories based on the character you want to play as, or even like if someone like mods a character into a game, there's some subcategories for that. But like the completionist style runs, which I've gotten more into, are usually much longer than their regular any percent runs. And I actually held an event based around those like last weekend.
What are some of the tips and tricks that are asked of the community now in the Discord, in the places that discussion is had?
Yeah, so again, it varies by game, but there's a lot of movement fundamentals. A lot of people recommend with a big red line.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I like about the Sonic titles, and even something that I noticed playing, you know, a lot of Sonic 2 as a kid is there are typically multiple routes through a stage. And so the thing about speedrunning is so much of it is studying, practice, and optimization.
Absolutely. Like studying, practice, optimization, and then you can even start, once you start implementing the glitches, then you have to like optimize like your setups for the glitches, finding balance between consistency and like optimized runs or optimized setups. It's really, really difficult because consistency in a competitive setting where you're in a no reset run, like in a tournament racing someone, consistency usually pulls ahead of someone who can nail a trick like maybe 50% of the time, but nail it in the fastest way possible. But like if they fail it, they're losing like seconds to minutes depending on the severity of the failure, whereas like someone who takes like 30 seconds to get it but gets it first try will, you know, only have to do it that one time in the run. But when you're going for world record runs, that's when you have to start learning how to sacrifice your consistency or find a way to make inconsistent setups more consistent for you. And that can be on a person by person basis, or that's where like people who are glitch or trick hunters kind of come in and try to find better setups.
What makes this speedrunning community so special to you in the way that you feel like, hey, I feel like I can give back to the community. I feel like there are other ways that I can participate beyond just runs.
So probably my exposure to GDQ really early, raising money for charity, realizing that was a thing that you could do. It was a thing I decided I really wanted to do. I remember just wanting to start raising money. I've raised money through Rogue Rush, which was an esports organization. Rogue had myself and a few other people I had organized that event to raise money for able gamers. We raised like $1,800. In November, TGH and I raised on our own for Extra Life. We raised like $2,000 for the Hasbro Children's Hospital in Rhode Island, where we live, which was awesome. And beyond that, I've had other successful things I've helped organize for GDQ Hotfix, like Sonic and the Shiny Things, and just recently Sonic and the Side Quest, which was the follow-up event. And I myself am also a GDQ showrunner. And the reason I do this is because I want to give other speedrunners an opportunity to showcase what they love doing and give them that platform that I have access to now.
Yeah.
And it's very important to me that like people can see the entertainment value in speedrunning and just how much passion and everything that people pour into their hobby. So like being able to give people that platform is important to me.
Yeah.
And if I can entertain people through speedrunning or through being able to be like that platform for other runners to entertain others on and make someone's life a little bit better or make someone's day a little bit better, it's completely worth it to me.
Well, I think the passion clearly flows through you and through this interview. Thank you so much for spending time with us today, Amber Cyprian, for sharing your thoughts on and giving us tips and tricks for Sonic the Hedgehog. You are amazing.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
I want to meet your PSO, Chow. I know that we have learned a lot today. You can catch more of your guide to speedrunning in 15 minutes or less, presented by GEICO. And remember, GEICO, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.